Most of the problems in your life have one thing in common: you. Not because you're broken, not because you're weak, but because nobody ever taught you how to think the right way. We grow up believing that our problems come from people, circumstances, bad luck, or the world being unfair. But the Stoics discovered something far more powerful and far more uncomfortable. Your suffering is created not by life itself, but by the mind you bring into life. Most people repeat the same emotional mistakes every day. They take everything personally. They react before thinking. They expect the world to be easy. They let their feelings lead them into chaos. And then they wonder why everything feels heavy. Here's the truth that hits everyone sooner or later. Your reactions create 90% of your problems, and modern neuroscience confirms this. The human brain is wired to exaggerate threats, overthink negativity, and replay emotional wounds on autopilot. Not because the danger is real, but because your mind has been trained to respond that way. This is why your problems follow you. This is why your stress keeps returning. This is why the same patterns repeat in your relationships, your decisions, and your mental life. But here is the part that should give you hope. If your mindset creates the problem, your mindset can also create the solution. And this is exactly where the Stoics become your greatest teachers. Long before psychology existed, they mastered the science of inner control, how to stay calm in chaos, how to think clearly under pressure, how to protect your peace, and how to stop your emotions from ruining your life. These 5 Stoic lessons you're about to hear are not philosophy. They are tools, practical tools that can remove most of the mental and emotional suffering you face every day. If you understand them, your life won't become perfect, but your problems will stop controlling you. You will stop reacting like the world owns your mind. You will start leading yourself with calm, clarity, and strength. So, listen carefully. This may be the first video you watch, but it can be the last time you face your problems the same way. Before we begin, take a moment for yourself. If this message already speaks to you, stay with me until the end. And let these lessons reshape the way you think. And if at any moment something resonates deeply, share it with 2 simple words in the comments. Stoic shift. It's subtle, but it tells me you're ready. Let's begin.
Lesson 1. Control what you can. Release what you can't. Most of the suffering you carry every single day comes from one simple habit. You try to control things that were never meant to be in your hands. This hidden mistake drains your energy, shakes your peace, and intensifies problems that should have remained small. The Stoics believed that nearly all emotional pain comes not from life itself, but from the mind that tries to dominate what is fundamentally uncontrollable. And the more you fight what isn't yours, the more you lose yourself. This truth was at the heart of Epictetus's teachings. He reminded us that some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your thoughts, your reactions, your discipline, your choices, these belong to you. But outcomes, opinions, delays, external events, and other people's behavior do not. And yet, it is on these exact things that most people pour all their emotional energy. They argue with reality. They demand perfection from life. They get angry at circumstances they cannot change. And without realizing it, they create their own suffering. Modern neuroscience confirms what Epictetus already understood. When you mentally cling to things outside your control, your brain activates its fear circuitry, the amygdala, pushing you into stress, overthinking, and emotional instability. But the moment you redirect your attention toward what you can influence, your attitude, your effort, your perspective, The brain shifts back into its rational, calm, problem-solving mode. The prefrontal cortex wakes up. Clarity returns. You regain authority over yourself. In simple terms, your mind becomes powerful again. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a violent storm. Instead of seeking shelter or protecting themselves, they scream at the sky, demanding the wind to stop. Their entire strength is wasted fighting the impossible. Their frustration grows not because of the storm, but because of their refusal to accept that the storm does not answer to them. Now imagine someone else in that same storm. They do not argue with the rain. They do not try to control the clouds. They adjust their coat, tighten their steps, and move forward with steady determination. Both face the same world, the same weather, the same force of nature. But only one of them remains strong. The difference is not the storm. The difference is the mind. Every morning, without even noticing, you step into storms of your own. Unexpected messages, delays, irritations, disappointments, someone's bad mood, a situation you didn't plan, a reaction you didn't expect. Most people exhaust themselves fighting these storms. They lose hours trying to force life into their expectations. But the Stoic mind does something far simpler, far wiser. It asks one quiet question. Does this depend on me? If yes, act. If no, release. This simple mental separation is one of the strongest tools you can ever use. The moment you begin practicing it, your inner world changes. Stress loosens its grip. Problems shrink to their real size. Your emotional energy returns to you instead of leaking into situations you cannot influence. You stop taking every disappointment personally. You stop trying to control how others behave. You stop expecting life to move according to your plan. You act where your action matters, and you let go where your action is powerless. This is not weakness. This is clarity. This is maturity. This is inner strength. And something extraordinary happens. Your personality becomes lighter. Your mind becomes cleaner. Your reactions become calmer. You stop being shaken by every inconvenience. You stop feeling attacked by circumstances. You stop drowning in things that are not yours to carry. Instead, you become centered, focused, and emotionally sharp. Your decisions improve. Your patience grows. Your confidence rises. The truth is simple. Life will always bring storms, delays, unpredictability, and situations outside your reach. You cannot stop that. But you can decide how much of yourself you give to these things. You can choose where your energy goes. You can choose what enters your mind and what passes through it without staying. You can choose to be the person who argues with the storm, or the person who walks through it with calm strength. When you finally accept that your real power lives inside your reactions, not outside, not in the world, not in other people, you discover a level of peace most people never experience, because nothing is heavier than trying to control what you can't, and nothing is more freeing than finally letting it go. Master this one lesson, and life becomes simpler, not because the world changes, but because you do. Lesson 2. Your reaction matters more than the problem. Life will never stop testing you. Problems will appear, plans will break, people will disappoint you, and unexpected situations will rise without warning. You cannot stop these things from happening. No one can. But what changes everything, absolutely everything, is the way you respond. The Stoics understood that the true weight of a problem is not in the problem itself, but in the emotional meaning you attach to it. Two people can face the same situation. One collapses, the other stays calm. One breaks down, the other grows stronger. One becomes a victim, the other becomes a leader. The difference is never the event. The difference is the reaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if something external disturbs you, the disturbance doesn't come from the thing, but from your judgment about it. This single truth has the power to rearrange your entire life. Because most of your mental suffering comes not from events, but from how you interpret them, exaggerate them, or personalize them. A minor inconvenience becomes a catastrophe. A simple delay becomes a humiliation. A careless comment becomes an attack. And without realizing it,
you create storms inside yourself that are far more violent than the world outside. Modern neuroscience confirms this ancient wisdom. When something unpleasant happens, the amygdala triggers a fast emotional reaction: anger, fear, frustration, shame. But this reaction lasts only a few seconds. What keeps it alive for minutes, hours, or even days is your interpretation. Your thoughts fuel the fire. Your internal dialogue intensifies the emotion. Your imagination adds details that were never there. The brain does not suffer because of reality. It suffers because of the story you tell yourself about reality. And the tragic part is that most people don't control that story. They let their emotions write it for them. A problem in itself is neutral. It is a moment, not a destiny. But when you respond with panic, anger, or victimhood, you give that problem power. You feed it. You let it grow. You invite it into your mind and allow it to shape the rest of your day. The Stoics refused to do this. They trained themselves to pause before reacting, to breathe before judging, to look at the situation objectively without letting emotion distort the truth. They understood that the more control they had over themselves, the less control the outside world had over them. Imagine this scene. A man is walking through a crowded street when someone bumps into him, spilling his coffee. One man reacts instantly, shouting and cursing, acting as if the universe has personally attacked him. His whole day becomes poisoned by this tiny event. Another man, faced with the exact same moment, simply steps back, wipes his shirt, takes a breath, and continues walking. Same situation, same inconvenience. But only one man remains in control of himself, and that control is worth more than anything he lost. Your reaction is a mirror of your inner strength. It reveals whether you own your mind or your mind owns you. And every time you choose a calmer response, you are training yourself to become stronger than your impulses, more stable than your emotions, and more powerful than the storm around you. This is not weakness. This is mastery. The practice begins with something very simple. Pause. Before you speak, pause. Before you answer, pause. Before you interpret someone's actions, pause. That small moment, even 1 second, is enough to shift your brain from emotional reaction to conscious choice. It activates the rational part of your mind and breaks the automatic loop that creates suffering. In that second, you become a different person, someone who leads their emotions instead of serving them. And when you learn to pause, you start seeing situations with clarity rather than distortion. You realize that most of your anger is unnecessary. Most of your stress is exaggerated. Most of your fear is imagined. Most of your problems are amplified by the way you think, not by the way life is. The Stoics were not seeking to remove all emotion. They were seeking to prevent emotion from turning small challenges into heavy burdens. When you change your reaction, the whole world changes with it. Conversations become smoother. Conflicts shrink. Difficult people lose their power. Unexpected events no longer break your peace. You stop feeling attacked by life and start navigating it with dignity. Problems still come, but they no longer create chaos inside you. You become grounded, steady, and mentally unshakable. Remember this: you will always face events you cannot control. But your reaction, the way you choose to interpret, respond, and move forward, will always belong to you. And the person who controls their reaction controls their destiny. Your strength is not measured by how much you can force life to obey you, but by how gracefully you respond when it doesn't. Master this, and most of your problems lose their power. Lesson 3. Discomfort is your teacher, not your enemy. Every strong person you admire today was shaped by something uncomfortable. Every step of growth, every moment of clarity, every breakthrough in life came after a period of tension, difficulty, or pain. But most people run from discomfort the moment they feel it. They escape, avoid, distract, and numb themselves because they believe discomfort is a sign that something is wrong. The Stoics believed the opposite. They believed discomfort was a sign that something important is happening inside you, something that can make you wiser, calmer, and more powerful if you learn to work with it instead of fleeing from it. The reason so many people stay stuck is simple. They treat discomfort as an enemy. They think it is something to avoid, something to hide from, something to fear. They want life to be smooth, predictable, and pleasant at all times. But that is not how the world works, and the more you fight reality, the more you suffer. Stoicism teaches that the obstacles you face are not blocking your path. They are your path. They are the training ground where your mind becomes sharper, your reactions become stronger, and your spirit becomes more disciplined. Modern psychology agrees with this ancient wisdom. Growth happens in what scientists call the adaptive zone, the space just beyond your comfort, but not far enough to break you. When you face challenges voluntarily, difficult tasks, uncomfortable conversations, early mornings, disciplined routines, your brain rewires itself. Neural pathways strengthen, emotional tolerance increases, your ability to handle pressure grows. In other words, discomfort is not punishment, it is training. Think of your life like a muscle. A muscle grows only when it is pushed beyond its usual limits, not destroyed, not overwhelmed, but challenged. The moment you start lifting a weight that feels slightly too heavy, your body begins to adapt. The same is true for your mind. Every time you do something uncomfortable, not dramatic, not extreme, just uncomfortable, you become mentally stronger. Every time you sit with an emotion instead of running from it, you build emotional resilience. Every time you face a situation that scares you, your fear shrinks. Discomfort is not the wall. Discomfort is the key. Imagine a person who refuses all discomfort. They avoid difficult conversations, quit when things get hard, hide from problems, choose the easiest path, and collapse emotionally at the smallest challenge. Their life becomes smaller each year. They weaken themselves while trying to stay comfortable. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly destroys your potential. A life without discomfort becomes a life without growth. And a life without growth becomes a life of quiet suffering. Now imagine another person. Not someone reckless, not someone who seeks pain, but someone who understands its purpose. They take on challenges one by one. They welcome tasks that stretch their abilities. They prepare their mind to face pressure. They push through the initial resistance that most people avoid. They breathe through discomfort, study it, observe it, and use it as a tool. Their life expands because they are expanding. Their mind stays calm under pressure because they have trained it to be that way. They become strong not because life was easy, but because they didn't run from the parts of life that were not. The Stoics knew that discomfort reveals your true character. When things are easy, anyone can appear patient, calm, collected, disciplined. But when discomfort enters, when you are tired, stressed, frustrated, challenged, that is when the real version of you appears. And that is the moment when you can choose to become better. Seneca said it clearly. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body. You don't become wise by avoiding hard moments. You become wise by meeting them with awareness, courage, and presence. The key is to make discomfort intentional. You don't wait for life to hit you. You train yourself before life does. You take cold showers to teach your mind to stay calm under shock. You wake up early to prove to yourself that your discipline is stronger than your excuses. You have honest conversations that challenge your ego. You face tasks you dislike to build stamina. You do the work even when you don't feel ready. You choose discomfort in small doses, so you remain strong when discomfort comes in big ones. And here is what will happen. Your fear will shrink. Your tolerance will grow. Your stress will decrease. Your clarity will rise. Your reactions will become slower, deeper, more intentional. Problems will stop overwhelming you because you are no longer fragile. You are no longer avoiding life. You are meeting it. You will notice that the things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. Situations that used to drain you now feel manageable. Challenges that once intimidated you now feel like opportunities. Because discomfort stopped being your enemy and became your teacher. A person who avoids discomfort stays the same. A person who embraces discomfort transforms. And transformation is what Stoicism is all about. Lesson 4. You become powerful
the moment you stop expecting life to obey you. Most people wake up every morning with a silent expectation. They expect the world to cooperate. They expect people to act the way they imagine. They expect plans to go smoothly. They expect everything to unfold according to their internal script. And when life inevitably behaves like life, unpredictable, imperfect, and indifferent to their expectations, they feel attacked, disappointed, frustrated, or overwhelmed. Not because the day is difficult, but because their expectations were unrealistic. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that disappointment is not created by events, but by the belief that events should have been different. When you expect life to obey you, you are preparing yourself for endless suffering. But when you accept that life will unfold according to its own nature, not yours, you become free. You stop fighting reality. You stop arguing with the flow of circumstances. You stop exhausting your mind with fantasies about how things should be. Instead, you focus on how things are. And that shift from expectation to acceptance is one of the fastest ways to gain emotional power. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by reminding himself that he would meet people driven by fear, ego, confusion, and impulses. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was preparing his mind so he wouldn't be surprised. He didn't expect perfection. He expected humanity. And because he accepted this truth before stepping into the day, no frustration could take him by surprise. The Stoic does not deny difficulty. He anticipates it calmly, so that when it arrives, he remains centered. Modern psychology aligns with this wisdom. Cognitive researchers show that most of our emotional pain comes from what they call expectation conflict, the gap between what we want and what reality provides. The larger the gap, the stronger the emotional reaction. Anger, disappointment, anxiety, sadness, impatience. But when you reduce that gap by adjusting your expectations to match reality, stress decreases immediately. Acceptance is not defeat, it's alignment. And alignment creates inner stability. Imagine starting your day like most people do. The slightest delay irritates you. Someone's tone annoys you. Bad traffic feels like an offense. A change in plans throws off your mood. One small inconvenience ruins your motivation. Not because the events are truly devastating, but because your mind refuses to accept them. The problem is not the world. The problem is the expectation that the world should behave exactly as you want. Now imagine a completely different version of yourself. You wake up knowing the day will contain imperfections. You expect moments of frustration, moments of interruption, moments of discomfort. You expect people to act according to their nature, not according to your script. You expect challenges to arise, even if you don't know which ones. And because you expect them, you are not surprised by them. Your mind remains calm, your body remains relaxed, your reactions remain controlled. You handle situations without losing your center because you didn't start the day by demanding that it be easy. Acceptance is not passive. It's not resignation. It's not weakness. It's clarity. It prepares you to respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally. When something unexpected happens, instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" you think, "Of course, this is life." That simple mental shift prevents emotional spirals. You stay grounded, you stay aware, you stay strong. And here is the hidden power. The more you accept the unpredictability of life, the more adaptable you become. You stop wasting energy resisting what already exists. You stop drowning in frustrations that change nothing. You stop acting like the world owes you perfection. You become flexible, you become agile, you become mentally resilient. Stoic acceptance is not about letting life control you. It's about refusing to let life shake you. Imagine the strength of someone who expects nothing but stays ready for everything. Someone who meets difficulty without panic. Someone who remains stable in chaos. Someone who understands that life follows its own logic and moves with it instead of fighting it. That person becomes unbreakable, not because life is easy for them, but because they stop expecting ease. Acceptance creates emotional space. It gives you room to think clearly, breathe deeply, observe calmly, and act deliberately.
It makes you less reactive, less impatient, less frustrated. It protects your inner peace from being hijacked by circumstances. And most importantly, it allows you to see solutions where others only see problems. Because a calm mind can perceive what a stressed mind cannot. When you stop expecting life to go your way, life stops hurting you the same way. You move from resistance to readiness, from frustration to awareness, from rigidity to strength. And that is where true power begins. A person who accepts reality is not controlled by it. He is strengthened by it. Lesson 5. You become unstoppable when you master yourself. Every person wants control. Control over their day, control over their relationships, control over outcomes, control over circumstances, control over how others behave. But the harsh truth is that the more you try to control the world, the weaker you become. The more you try to force things outside yourself, the more frustrated, anxious, reactive, and exhausted you feel. This is the trap most people fall into. They waste their life trying to command what was never theirs, while neglecting the one thing that has always been within their reach: themselves. Stoicism is built on a single, unshakable foundation. Self-mastery is the highest form of power. Not power over others, not power over events, not power over fate, but power over your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, your impulses, your habits, your inner world. This is the only domain where true freedom exists, the only space where strength cannot be taken from you, the only territory you truly own. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. The moment you understand this deeply, your life changes. Because you stop being a victim of every inconvenience. You stop being shaken by every situation. You stop handing your peace, your mood, and your energy to the world around you. You stop letting circumstances dictate who you are. Instead, you begin to lead yourself. You begin to move from the inside outward, rather than being pushed from the outside inward. Modern psychology supports this ancient truth. Studies show that one of the strongest predictors of emotional stability is internal locus of control, the belief that your reactions, not the world, determine your experience. When you take responsibility for your inner state, your stress decreases, your clarity increases, your mood becomes more stable, your decisions become cleaner. You stop overreacting, you stop spiraling, you stop drowning in emotions that used to overpower you. You become the author of your own life instead of a character trapped in someone else's script. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One becomes furious, honks, curses, clenches his jaw, and ruins his entire day. The other turns on calming music, adjusts his breathing, and uses the moment to reflect or simply accept the situation. Same event. Two different inner worlds. The difference is not the traffic. The difference is self-mastery. Or imagine someone receiving criticism. One person becomes defensive, angry, ashamed. Their ego takes over. They interpret every word as an attack. Another person listens quietly, evaluates what is useful, discards what is noise, and remains calm. Same words, same situation, completely different reactions. This is what mastery looks like. Not coldness, not rigidity, but the ability to stay in control of yourself when your emotions want to take control of you. Self-mastery does not happen by accident. It is built through small, consistent acts. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen it. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you strengthen it. Every time you breathe through discomfort, you strengthen it. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, you strengthen it. Self-mastery is not one big decision. It is countless small decisions that shape the person you become. The Stoics practiced this daily. They observed their thoughts without being ruled by them. They questioned their assumptions before believing them. They separated fact from interpretation. They trained their emotions the way an athlete trains his body, with repetition, awareness, and intention. They did not avoid emotion. They directed it. They did not suppress desire. They disciplined it. They did not kill fear. They walked through it with steady steps. They understood that the strongest human being is not the one who dominates others, but the one who dominates himself. Think of yourself like a ship. Life will always bring waves, some gentle, some violent. You cannot calm the sea. You cannot command the wind, but you can learn to steer. You can strengthen your structure. You can adjust your sails. You can stay balanced even when the ocean moves beneath you. That is self-mastery, not controlling the sea, but controlling the ship. And when you gain this level of inner control, something extraordinary happens. Problems lose their power. Emotional triggers fade. Fear becomes smaller. Stress becomes manageable. People's opinions no longer imprison you. Unexpected events no longer break you. You become stable in a world that is constantly shaking. You become centered in a world that constantly pulls. You become calm in a world that constantly screams. You become someone who moves with purpose, not emotion. Someone who acts with intention, not impulse. A person who masters themselves becomes unstoppable, because there is nothing left that the world can use against them. Nothing left that can disturb their peace. Nothing left that can control their mood, their day, or their destiny. They have become the source of their own strength, and that is the greatest freedom a human being can ever know. At the end of these 5 Stoic lessons, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Most of the suffering you experience does not come from the world. It comes from the way you interpret, react to, and resist the world. Life is complex, unpredictable, and often indifferent, but your mind doesn't have to be. You now carry principles that have survived empires, shaped leaders, healed broken spirits, and guided entire civilizations toward clarity and strength. If you listened closely, you probably noticed something remarkable. Every lesson points back to the same source: you. Your reactions, your expectations, your discipline, your inner voice, your willingness to face discomfort, your ability to choose your response. These are not small things. These are the foundations of a life that cannot be shaken by the noise around it. Most people spend their life trying to fix external problems without ever fixing the internal patterns that create them. They run from discomfort, collapse under pressure, react impulsively, fear unpredictability, and blame circumstances they cannot control. But the Stoic path is different. It turns your attention inward. It teaches you to steady the mind before trying to steady the world. It shows you that mastery of life begins with mastery of self. Not tomorrow, not in some distant future, but now, in each moment, with each choice. And something powerful happens when you adopt this mindset. Stress begins to loosen. Clarity expands. Emotional storms lose their intensity. The same life that once overwhelmed you becomes manageable, understandable, almost simple. Your decisions improve. Your relationships deepen. Your self-respect grows. You become the kind of person others trust in moments of chaos, because your presence brings order where there was confusion. This is not an illusion. It is the predictable result of training the mind to work with reality instead of fighting it. Neuroscience shows that repetition rewires the brain, and philosophy shows that awareness reshapes the soul. When these two worlds meet, a new version of you begins to emerge, steady, thoughtful, resilient, and internally free. The world will not stop challenging you. People will not stop disappointing you. Unexpected events will not stop arriving. But you will stop collapsing. You will stop running. You will stop reacting like you have no power. Because you now understand that the most important battles are fought within, and the victories that matter most are invisible to everyone except yourself. If these lessons stay with you, your problems will not disappear. You will simply outgrow them. You will rise above them with a mind that is calmer, a spirit that is stronger, and a heart that is no longer dominated by fear, frustration, or impulse. This is the beginning of a different kind of life, not a perfect life, but a powerful one.